You got freedom, no hesitation or holding back. You got freedom to live your life the way you want to live. You got freedom, time to start letting go of all your
The
fears.
Cornhusker Libertarian Brief is produced from a firmly libertarian point of view, emphasizing individual liberty, personal responsibility, and limited government. Our content is rooted in core principles such as self-ownership, the non-aggression principle, free markets, and the protection of individual and property rights. This series doesn't aim to present a balanced or bipartisan perspective, nor will it apologize for that. We believe that a free society is built on voluntary cooperation, not coercion, and that Nebraskans deserve a clear and consistent voice for liberty. While our tone may at times be direct or irreverent, our goal is to educate, inform, and inspire civic engagement rooted in libertarian values. If you're looking for a conversation centered on government solutions, this may not be the brief for you. But if you believe that people, not politicians, know what's best for their lives, welcome aboard. Liberty starts with understanding. Let's begin.
Welcome back to the Cornhusker Libertarian Brief, where we cut through the noise, get back to what really matters: freedom, personal responsibility, and limited government. I am the Cornhusker Libertarian, a husband, a father, a veteran, and a proud Nebraskan. I swore an oath to the Constitution, and that didn't expire when I took off my uniform. This series is how I continue to serve, by standing up for your liberty. The founders didn't create a system to control people. They built one to protect us from government control. In today's topic, it's going to be a little fun for me and a little triggering for the duopoly. We're talking about the Second Amendment, your right to keep and bear arms. No fear-mongering, no partisan spin, just facts, history, and principle from a libertarian perspective. And keep in mind, NAP, a different video series. And just to be clear, here is where I stand. If that got your attention, hit the subscribe button. Join the movement and make government serve us again. The Second Amendment is not about hunting, but we'll cover that subject too. It is about protecting people from tyranny, foreign and domestic. Why do all politicians get armed guards? The founders had just fought off the government that had tried to disarm them. They understood something timeless. A disarmed population is a controlled population. A well-armed citizenry is the ultimate check on government power. The actual text says, a well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of the free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Notice it says the people, not the military, not the government. The people, that means you, and it's been binding since 1791. But wait, it says well-regulated militia. What was a well-regulated militia in 1791? The militia was not a standing army or a professional force. It was essentially the armed citizenry, local communities organizing their own training with voluntary musters, drills, and community defense groups. The Militia Act of 1792, just after the Bill of Rights, mandated that every free, able-bodied white male citizen, aged 18 to 45, was a part of the militia. Each was required to provide his own weapon, ammunition, and equipment. For example, a musket or a rifle, powder horn, and 24 bullets. Throughout history, when government disarms their citizens, it rarely ends well. Nazi Germany, the Jews were banned from owning guns. What followed was horrific. Soviet Union, Stalin used gun registration lists to disarm and then repress the opposition. Millions died in these purges. Mao, China, citizens were disarmed and over 45 million perished during the Cultural Revolution. Cuba, Venezuela, and North Korea all showcase what happens when the power goes unchecked and people have no means to resist. Even in more recent democracies, disarmament leads to an imbalance. In Australia in '96, a mandatory buyback confiscation over 650,000 firearms. Violent crimes actually spiked for several years. The UK handguns were banned. Now they face rising knife crime, and defenseless citizens rely on the overstretched police system. The pattern is clear. Gun control does not equal crime control. It equals people control. Libertarians believe in individual sovereignty. That means your life, your liberty, and your right to defend both. The right to bear arms protects you from criminals when the police are minutes away, protects you from a mob when the law and order breaks down, And yes, protects you from your own government if it ever goes too far. We're not advocating for violence. We're advocating for a balance of power. The ultimate power in a free country lies with the people. A libertarian approach to gun policy is simple. No victim, no crime. Criminal misuse of that weapon, prosecute the act, not the tool. And respect constitutional rights. No permission slips for basic freedoms. And let's clear up another common myth. The right to bear arms doesn't come with an asterisk. It doesn't say shall not be infringed unless the government charges you a tax stamp, limits your barrel length, or bans it based on how scary it looks. But that's exactly what's happened. Under federal law, owning certain firearms like short barrel rifles, suppressors, or fully automatic weapons means you're stuck dealing with the National Firearms Act. That's right. To exercise your constitutional right, you have to pay a tax, register with the federal government, and wait months for permission. That's not freedom, that's gatekeeping. And let's be honest, if you need a background check, fingerprinting, and $200 just to own a piece of metal and a tube, you're not really free. You're on probation from a right that the Constitution already says can't be infringed. The Second Amendment also doesn't guarantee access to only the arms that politicians are comfortable with. It protects the right of people to keep and bear arms. Freedom isn't about comfort or safety, it's about principles. Now imagine this, a true libertarian should have the freedom to ethically hunt with whatever arms they legally own, even if that means something as wild as using an AH-64 Apache to reach that far remote spot for an unforgettable hog hunt or big game adventure. Sound crazy? Maybe. But legally, the Constitution doesn't limit the type of arms you can keep and bear. Congress continues to infringe on that right. You can't legally own and operate an Apache helicopter due to strict federal laws regulating military-grade equipment and defense articles. Simply, the government doesn't trust you. If owning an AH-64 for hunting purposes shocks the duopoly or scares bureaucrats, well, that's exactly why we need strong protections for arms, big or small. Here in Nebraska, we have taken the steps in the right direction. Constitutional carry LB 75 passed in 2023, and LB 77 included a preemptive clause preventing local governments from enacting firearm regulations that are more restrictive than the state law, allowing law-abiding Nebraskans aged 21 and older to carry concealed handguns without permits or mandatory training. But we have to remain vigilant. Red flag laws, backdoor registries, federal overreach, these are all slippery slopes we can't afford. Liberty doesn't defend itself, we defend it, and the free people must never surrender to the tools that make them truly sovereign. The Second Amendment isn't just a right, it's the right that protects all others. Without it, freedom is a suggestion. With it, freedom has teeth. If you believe in self-defense, local control, and personal responsibility, and you believe in the non-aggression principle that force is only justified in defense, that means the right to keep and bear arms is not just constitutional, it's moral. It's necessary. It's libertarian. Thanks for watching the Cornhusker Libertarian Brief. Like, share, and subscribe, and help us grow a movement rooted in liberty, not control.